we start this hour with breaking news from Germany. We're going to take you straight there. These are the latest pictures we have. These are the scenes of a Christmas market there in Magdeburg. Reports a car has been driven into crowds of shoppers there at that Christmas market. News agencies reporting potentially dozens of people injured, at least one person killed. We are getting details from broadcasters in Germany as well as news agencies as well. You can see the scale of the emergency response in these pictures. Ambulance after ambulance there, taking people away, presumably to local hospitals for treatment. Well, with me is my colleague Samantha Simmons. Hi, Samantha. Just talk us through what we know so far about what's happened here.
Yeah, about an hour or so, this news broke that a car had driven into a crowd at a Christmas market. This is in the eastern German town of Magdeburg, according to the German broadcaster MDR and other local media. Yeah, they've said in the past few moments that the AFP news agency has said that this car incident is assumed to be an attack, according to the Regional Interior Ministry. And we've been talking over the past hour or so here on BBC News, discussing the fact that we don't know whether this is an accident or a deliberate attack. But the Regional Interior Minister is saying that they assume this to be an attack. There are reports that at least one person has been killed and several injured. That number is also ranging from several to between 60 and 80. That's according to the AFP news agency. But we don't have verified details on any of this at the moment. A lot of speculation on social media where indeed there is footage of the moments this incident unfolded. We aren't going to show that to our viewers because it hasn't been verified, and it's also extremely distressing. But you can see a car driving at speed into a group of people at this Christmas market, in which case you can understand this figure that is being quoted of possibly 60 to 80 people being injured. We can see a huge emergency presence there, police on the streets, ambulances, emergency crews. This will be a huge logistical operation for the teams there who are trying to help those people who've been injured. We have had reports on the Reuters news agency, eyewitnesses telling a broadcaster that the car drove straight into the crowd. They said in the direction of the town hall. Police, local government spokespeople not immediately available to comment because obviously they have to deal with the unfolding situation. But just in the past few minutes, just to reiterate, the AFP news agency, citing the Regional Interior Ministry, is saying that they assume this to be an attack. There has also been one arrest, we understand. We don't know if police are looking for anyone else in relation to this.
Samantha, thank you for that. That significant development there in the last few minutes. Confirmation that the working assumption, at least, is that it seems to be an attack rather than an accident or a driver losing control of their vehicle. That was one of the questions that we've been asking over the last hour or so. Let's just take a quick look, if we can, at where this has happened. Let's get a sense of the geography there in Germany. This is about an hour or so away, about 100 miles-ish, 150 kilometres away from Berlin. You can see Berlin there in the east, and just about 150 kilometres, about 100 miles-ish, is the town of Magdeburg. And in the heart there, at that Christmas market, which would have been hugely busy given the time of year, of course, Christmas just a few days away, and Christmas markets like this, a very strong tradition in Germany, a hugely populated, busy place right now on this Friday evening there. And the car driven, it seems at the moment, it appears to be from officials for the first time there in Germany, the working assumption that this was driven in deliberately, an attack rather than an accident. We're waiting to get a bit more clarification and a bit more details from that. But that's the latest reaching us from the news agencies there. And Samantha, this isn't the first time we've seen a Christmas market attacked in Germany. Yeah,
Lewis, in fact, this incident, possible attack, comes on the day 8 years ago, the same day, 19th of December 2016, when a truck was deliberately driven into the Berlin Christmas market. Many people might remember that. It was a shocking incident, a terror attack which left 12 people dead and more than 70 victims. One of those victims was the truck's original driver. He was found shot dead in the truck. The perpetrator of that attack 8 years ago was a Tunisian national inspired by Islamic State propaganda. He was killed 4 days after the attack by police who found him in Italy, and this event was classified as a terrorist attack. There have also been several terrorist attacks in Germany just in the past year. In fact, there were two Islamist extremist attacks, one in Mannheim and one in Solingen, and there has also been a spate of, in fact, foiled plots in Germany this year. Back on the 23rd of August this year, a man attacked people at a festival of diversity that was in Solingen, and 3 people were killed, then 8 others injured, 4 of them severely. The German authorities arrested a perpetrator there. He actually turned himself in and claimed responsibility for that attack. On the 5th of September, an 18-year-old was shot dead near to the Israeli consulate in Munich after exchanging fire with police. In a joint statement, the Bavarian State Police and prosecutors said they believe the individual was planning a terrorist attack involving the consulate. And then just a day later, on the 6th of September, a 29-year-old conducted an attack against a police station in Linz am Rhein. So that's just some of the incidents that have happened in Germany in the past few months. We know that German security has also been tightened as a result of this. And in fact, Germany tightened its border controls. They did this, they said, back in September to curb irregular migrant inflows after a series of these Islamist attacks sparked public anger and piled pressure on the government. So we are still waiting for some kind of statement from the Chancellor. In fact, we've just had one in, I think. The German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, has said in the past few moments, he's just been quoted on Reuters saying the news suggests something bad. So no doubt he's made more of a statement, but we're just waiting for more of what he said. He said, "My thoughts are with the victims and the family." So the government there, the Chancellor, giving a response actually quite quickly. We haven't actually had formal responses from the authorities, though, in Magdeburg, who, of course, will be dealing with a unfolding situation. And it appears, certainly from the reports that we're getting on AFP, that the Regional Interior Minister is assuming this to be an attack and therefore not an accident.
Yeah, Samantha, let's run through, if we can, just to be clear with people watching now, what we know and what we don't know. So one of the questions over the last hour was clearly about whether this was a deliberate attack or not. It seems to be the working assumption from authorities there in Germany is that it is. In terms of who is behind it and any possible motive, clearly we don't know that. In terms of the number of people killed and injured, just talk us through what we know and what we don't know about that.
Yeah, again, no actual definite confirmation from the authorities, but some 25 minutes or so ago, the Reuters news agency quoted a local police officer as saying at least one person was killed and several injured. And since then, we haven't had an increase in the death toll, but we have had an increase, a significant increase in the number of injured. But again, no definite confirmation, but the AFP news agency suggesting that the number of injured could be between 60 and 80 people. That's according to a spokesperson for the local rescue service who told that to the AFP news agency. So one would have to assume that that is probably quite accurate, and given the huge number of emergency personnel on the scene and ambulances and the footage that we've seen, but as we said, we're not showing our viewers, it's extremely distressing of this vehicle ploughing into a crowd of people. But given the numbers that would have been there and the footage that we've seen, that is possibly in the right kind of figures, 60 to 80 people injured.
Yeah, absolutely. That would seem to marry up, wouldn't it? Because the scale of the response here and the scale of the critical incident clearly is absolutely huge. And that number of anywhere up to 80 people injured would tally with that. Just but worth repeating these first comments that we're getting through from the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on the incident there, saying that his thoughts are with the victims, his thoughts are with the families, and the news suggests something bad. I think more kind of accurate phrase seems to be this translation, that raises the worst fears. So Olaf Scholz there, German Chancellor, saying the events there at this Christmas market, quote, raises the worst fears. Thoughts there with the victims and the families.